All right, welcome to episode 100 of our Salisbury campaign. We are on our third set of characters, more or less, right? No, second for some, third for some.
Second for some, third for others.
Yeah, and we have with us Bert from Nanteleod's Legacy. But before we do an intro with Bert, we're going to quickly intro our regular cast here. And while we do so, I want to know, for each of you, since you all have an original character that you no longer main as, / two of them died, what piece of advice 100 episodes later would Goratrix give to Edrich? Thomas?
It will be twofold. The first is, have more children. Good God, the entire family line is dying and you marry a Saxon instead of many eligible bachelorettes around the place? Good heavens. Secondly, treat your friends with more trust and love them more closely. You harden your heart too much. Have more kids.
I miss Goratrix. All right. Not because Edric's bad, just because Goratrix was great.
Thank you.
All right. And then we'll go to Mark. Edward. What would Edward give for advice to his half-brother, Florence?
Okay, it's a good question. I think his advice would be something along the lines of, Florence, remember, if they're a Saxon, kill them dead. Kill them all.
Sounds about right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's all he has. Really hated the Saxons, didn't he? Lastly, we'll go to what advice would I know Dalen's still around, so this could technically happen, but what advice would Dalen give to Virgil?
I'm not to follow the trend of mostly unhelpful advice, but I think Dalen would tell Virgil to... I don't know. I think Dalen would tell Virgil to remember where he came from and to not let ambition sour his pride.
Understood. All right. And we'll get to see Dalen soon as well at some point here. But before we do so, or we reflect on those things, why don't we quickly introduce our guest for right now, Bert. What do you want to tell us about you and your character you'll be portraying?
Well, Sir Cormac's kind of been through the ringer. He got really beat up by a bunch of small cuts, but came through the battle at the side of Gwydir quite easily.
Not only Gwydir, but Florence. Yeah. All right. So we
Florence
are
is there as well. Florence actually came to our rescue.
Yeah.
He tried to.
Yeah. We decided to advance through the remainder of the Battle of Cambridge in the other game because all our key knights, save for Florence, were knocked out, and we brought Florence over as a guest. So, recapping that scenario, we kind of pick up at the end of the battle, and we see through Florence's eyes as he looks to the distance and he sees the banners of Sled, the Aetheling of Essex, and nearby the fallen banners of Edrich, the Marshal. The crowd, the army that's been gathered by the Cymry fighting against Essex is in great cheer, mostly because King Aeswin of Essex has fallen dead at the hands of one of Nanteleod's champions. And with this,
Pretty good.
we zoom in on a scene with Cormac and Florence, who are nearby on the battlefield, not too far from one another.
Well. I never expected we would meet again, Sir Cormac.
Sir Florence, it's good to see you again. Thank you for the assistance.
Oh, you're very welcome.
What brings you all the way to the... Well, what brings you all the way out here?
Your
I thought
king,
you would have been
mostly.
with the rest of Salisbury.
I am with the rest of Salisbury. As he kind of looks around.
God
You don't
damn
see
it,
many
Gudea.
standing banners of Salisbury around you. Now that you look.
God damn it, Gudea. You pushed too far.
I must
You're
say,
a
your
thief.
fellow knight is one hell of a reckless fighter.
That would be Gudea. My cousin.
Ah. So you got the sensible side of the family then.
Yes. But it never seems to work out the way it works out for him.
Okay. With that, a messenger arrives, or rather one of the young squires of Nanteleod himself. We'll give this one a name. Oh no, we have a Lionel. We can't have another Lionel. How's that name show up twice after not showing up the whole campaign? Nyan. So Nyan is this little squire, like age 15, really energetic and kind of reckless. Oh god, he has fairy lore of 19. That says something about him, but he's sort of like staring off for a second, and he snaps to, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Sir Cormac, the king requests your assistance in locating someone."
All right. Who does he need located?
Sir Edrich of Salisbury. They are to attend a gathering of the marshals, or a gathering of the commanders, and Edrich is not present.
I might be able to help in this. Unfortunately,
Any assistance you have would be greatly appreciated.
it appears Edrich has been captured. I shall appear in his place if it is of importance to the king, but he should be informed of this either way.
He should. The question is, will Salisbury be alright without its marshal?
We're a tough people. I think we'll be able to survive for the time being.
You're currently a tough people without a leader. Away from your county.
I'm here, am I not?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you serve King Idris of Cornwall?
I am sworn to him,
Robert.
but Salisbury is my home. And Earl Robert is my liege.
Are you abandoning the axe?
Of course not. I'm just doing my duty. But I will leave it up to the king. If he so wishes me to not be in his presence, I will not take it as a slight. Well, not a great one. He smiled.
Allow me to escort you.
Thank you, Sir Cormac.
Why, head back to Nanteleod. Let him know that we have Sir Florence who will attend, as Edrich is indisposed at the moment.
He's like, yes, of course, very well. And with that, he'll run off, and we'll move forward. We'll skip forward unless there's any key details there. we'll advance to the meeting with Nanteleod. You are, of course,
Cormac
here.
would look to Florence and go, "Are you sure that you didn't want to put together a party to go retrieve the marshal?"
We will, in time. But I can tell you, when I last saw Sled's forces as he rode off, it would take more than just Salisbury to get him back.
Make a battle test real quick, Cormac.
Okay.
Oh, you probably don't have your sheet.
I didn't have access to this game.
Yeah, just roll it on in your area. I trust you.
What's your number? I'll roll it for you. I'll do it.
I got a 4 out of 15.
All right. Yeah. I was gonna make you, if you failed that, I was gonna make you roll suspicious and trusting to figure out what you believe, but it's actually not wrong. You remember, like, it's one thing to say that they were driven off the field after the king's death, but it was a bloody battle. You're aware that King Derek of Estragales died in this battle. It was not the best, but it was still a huge victory for Nanteleod and the United Forces of the Cymry. You know that trying to pursue the king in some sort of retrieval would likely be a suicide mission. Now, Gwydir your cousin would probably do that, no problem. He would try that, because that's what he does. One way or the other, it would either work out miraculously for him or not, but it would be something he would try. But it would be a fool's errand. It'd be considered a fool's errand by most. So we're going to advance, just to move time forward. The gathering does involve Florence in this case, as he's one of the only standing right now. Erwin is present, but he's currently in the process. Well, he's actually not present. I'll explain to why later. But we have Nanteleod present. We have Ulfius present. We have Corneus present. And Leo de Grants present.
Stewart.
It is, in fact, Patrick Stewart, who played him in Excalibur, but it's why we have him. So that is an upgraded version. Soon he will lose his hair. Then, and only
What
then.
the fuck are all these Saxons doing here?
Indeed.
Hey, King Leo de Grants is awesome.
Yes. Okay, so Florence, you would recognize most of these folks. Some you've had personal interactions with, some not. King Nanteleod looks to everyone and says, "It was a hard-fought day today, but the Saxons are left to lick their wounds. I'm going to release the men under my employ and those who are my allies to return home. Our time for warring this year is done, but we have one last task. Huntland and Heartland are to be liberated. We will establish them as allies under our new united Cymry. I understand it that the Marshal of Salisbury has been taken. Sir Florence is his representative, as your Earl's representative who's present. Please relay the information that we would be willing to assist in any ransom if one is permitted by the Atheling. Though I should let you know that he may perhaps seek some sort of retribution given his father fell on the battlefield this day.
Florence nods and says, "That is greatly appreciated, Your Majesty. As it is now, there is simply not much to do but wait to hear word back on either a ransom for the Marshal or of his untimely end. In the case of the first, it would be greatly appreciated, as Salisbury does find its resources limited with its current recovery from the attack of Wessex. In the other case, we would ask your aid in retribution against the Eighthling, who I imagine will quickly name himself king.
Retribution will be found in time for all who do not. He pauses.
If I may ask, Your Majesty, if it is not too much, have the positions of Lord of Huntland and such been decided? I assume they would be under your leash?
They will remain under the baronies established by Aurelius Ambrosius. Those with title and heirship and claim will have right to reclaim them. Many have held on. We will seek those who willingly fought with Essex. They will be scrutinized by some of the locals, and if they are seen as non-traitorous, they will return to their positions.
I see.
Such a task has been assigned to Sir Argan at Megalad.
Oh.
Right. Florence kind of scowls a little at that.
Well then.
Another question, Your Majesty, if I may. What of Londinium?
Londinium will continue to be a major target in the future warring years. But our men have suffered great losses, and they will need time to recoup. We are past 40 days of fighting. The weather will turn against us soon.
Of course. Thank you for... I'm forgetting the word. Thank you for obliging my requests.
Of course.
I shall make sure this information is returned to the Earl of Salisbury.
Very good, Baron of the Axe. Florence, make a quick battle test.
Right. 6 and 17.
Yeah. So you know that the armies of Nanteleod and your forces truly fought 3 battles this year. You can't think of a time dating back. Well, you were old enough to account where that sort of extended battle situation occurred. So he's not exactly wrong. Probably the only exception in like the last few generations would be Aurelius's march, which was
a special circumstance.
Yeah, it's really not wise to push your armies past the point of exhaustion. Most knights are conscripted for up to 40 days of war a year. And you guys hit that in Royston before you pushed on to Cambridge. So
we're beyond that point.
some knights did turn and leave, and they can't even call them dishonorable for that. You could call them like, it'd be like the equivalent of the guy who, the minute his shift's done, he's like, clock out, and you're like, but we got all this, and he's like, nope, I'm gone later. That'd be the equivalent of that.
You didn't stay for overtime, and you did not serve with a smile. This will be going on your record. You are required to wear at least 3 points of flair.
Indeed. Okay. We're gonna kind of just give, before we release Bert onto the wild, I want to give Florence and the Bruja an opportunity to quickly chat, or Cormac rather, an opportunity to chat and follow up.
I'd say probably once the kind of meeting is finished and they part.
Do you recognize him, Florence? Like, I mean, you should, but does Florence recognize Cormac as the one that helped him locate his mom?
I would believe so, because that wasn't that long ago.
No. I just know that Florence can be foppish, so I just want to double check.
I think in the case of Cormac, he's unique enough that he would be like, oh, that's right. The Irish knight.
Yeah.
That's that giant Irish knight.
Yeah.
Irish knights don't normally grow that tall.
What are they feeding them?
It's true, it should be more like this. So...
That's what they keep saying about me, too, but...
So once everything is kind of finished, you'd walk up to Cormac and go, well, I would like to thank you once again, this time for fighting alongside me in battle. I must say I am quite appreciative for what you did for me in the past.
I believe it is only right that a man with the strength to do so be of service to others. And that is what I live for.
It's quite noble. Truly are a better knight than most, especially in this age. You know, you would have done quite right serving under Uther. I don't know if you remember his reign.
The caliber of man that I've met that served under Uther runs the gamut. From the truly noble like yourself to someone as despicable as my own father, and everywhere in between.
I dare say perhaps that represents the rule of Uther himself. Times where he was a noble king, warlord. And other times where perhaps some would consider him a scoundrel. But he was my king, above all else.
And loyalty is a commodity to be respected and celebrated.
If only 'tis was the age for it.
I follow a man I truly believe deserves the crown that Aurelius once held. And with my dying breath, I'll fight for that dream.
You're a good knight, Sir Cormac. But better than that, you are a good man.
Nay.
You know, for an Irish. You smell.
Yes, but at least I don't live in Cornwall.
Oh, true enough.
if you need help if you need another sword at your side, when you go to hunt down the force that took your marshal, call upon me. I'll see what I can do.
I will make sure to that. Thank you, Sokoma.
Thank you, Sir Florence. It was an honor to make your acquaintance.
An honor to make yours as well. Oh, brave guard to King Nanteleod.
And with that, Cormac would hold his hand out.
He
And
returns it.
He would follow after Nanteleod to make sure that his king is safe. You didn't quite hit it hard enough.
There we go. One sec here. Okay, we're good. Thanks a lot, Bert. We're going to go ahead and release you to the wild there. Thanks for joining us.
It was a joy and a pleasure, Bert, as always.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by.
You hardly
Yes.
rolled any fumbles.
You only rolled once, so
The tides have turned. Everyone should be warned because Bert was on a pretty decent rolling streak. And whenever that happens, it means that someone else will suffer the curse. So beware.
Yep.
Yeah, beware. Thanks for joining, Bert. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks.
same
too.
to you.
Alrighty. So we continue on here. Let me just quickly drop the coat of arms and stuff for Bert, and we will continue. Okay, so... Oh, and the guest. Okay.
Zbot.
Zbot.
Zebop.
It's a placeholder. It means we don't have to switch cameras.
It's also an
Yeah.
excuse to scat.
Indeed. Okay, we move to our next scene now. Well, this probably isn't going to work at all. Hold on. I might be okay. I'm just gonna drop that out. Yeah, okay. Yes, I did it, and it worked. Okay, so our next scene, we move to Sir Edrich, good sir. Right? Give me a sec. For whatever reason, those icons aren't loading. Let's see if I can fix that.
Indeed.
Yes. It happens sometimes.
It might just be stuck that way. It's okay. We know what they look like. Who
I've
needs
had
it?
it do that before. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just kind of live with it for a little bit.
Yeah,
Just means it's having trouble finding the image.
yeah, makes
We can
sense.
scat again.
Skibbity-bop-bop-boo. I'm the scat man.
Okay,
If the
that's
scat
enough.
man can do it, then so can I.
You remember what sled looks like, right?
Who is this scat man? Is he a challenger?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay,
I do. I know. I have a horse named after him. Come on.
it's true.
And that
It's just
would
a
be
picture of a
let's
horse.
see it now.
It's like I don't actually know what it looks like, but I do remember my horse is named after him.
He's a blonde fella. He's a blonde fella. He looks kind of like his dad, but younger.
Yeah.
Doesn't narrow it down, does it?
No, he's one of the ones lacking the beard. It doesn't matter too much. We don't need to zero in. If I find it, I will post it. I used to have it up because it was one of the regulars that visited, but I do not recall if I do have him or not. In any rate, Edrich, What health were you at? We should verify that you're not dead.
I was at -2.
Okay. So make a couple of first aid 15 rolls for me, please. You can just roll a d20.
Absolutely.
Your squire has not
let's do
been
that.
taken alongside you.
Oh, well, that's good. First d20, 4 success.
Why don't you roll your squire real quick, too? Let's make sure he didn't die.
I do have 2 squires.
Okay, roll them both real quick. It's just to see if
16.
see if they fumble, then they're probably dead. No, they're okay.
Success on both. They seem fine.
Yeah. Okay, so for the
how
one
many
you
first aid
rolled,
tests?
Yeah. We'll start with 2 and see if you end up in positive health from there.
Indeed. Because I did only take 2 injuries, 4 and a 9 success on both.
Okay.
It was so sad because none of them were enough to knock me into major wound. I was on such low health and I fell off a horse.
Well, major wounds all at once. It's not a number.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you get hit that hard at once. But being nickeled and dimed is a typical way.
Indeed.
Yep. So roll.
So shall I roll?
Yeah. You need to roll D3 for each.
Let's do it. 6, maximum
Okay.
I could roll.
Yeah, that's what you wanted. So Edrich lives once more.
Hell yeah! Let's
You
see
do-
how long that lasts.
Hmm. Okay, so you kind of rouse to, and you realize that you're in a holding cell when you rouse to.
Squire! He almost instinctively says, before, with an animal cunning, his eyes sharpen and he looks around, despite the pain. Grand. This is not the first time he has known the hospitality of Saxons.
Nope. And in fact, I think you're observant enough to be aware that this is not the decor, that you can see some of the smells from the food. You're pretty certain that you're not being held by Kimry. And then kind of your memory starts to catch up and you remember where you were last visiting, let's say. And
I think with that known, Edrich looks around. Is there anyone else within the cell? Anything else?
nothing within your sight, just kind of a hallway that goes on for a bit. This is likely in an actual Kimry keep. That much you can tell.
A more healthy Edrich would begin pacing like a caged wolf. An Edrich at 4 hit points, however, will, after painfully sitting up to look around, fold one bloodied shaking hand on another and listen, sharpening his senses and otherwise biding his time. There's nothing he can do so injured and without a blade.
At that point, you see someone round the corner, and they sort of move in your direction. They sit down kind of at the cell across from you. And it's pretty dark. Your eyes are still a bit blurry from having just woken up from near death, basically.
Indeed. I think Edrich doesn't look good. He looks very much like he was on the verge of death and just got brought back. So it is odd, perhaps surprising, when that figure sort of painfully brings himself to his feet and approaches using the wall as a support over to stand a healthy distance away from the door, but eyes gleaming in the dim light, looking at this figure. Oh, this guy's so lustful. I don't know. I don't feel... I got married last
So
time.
the story just changed a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. In all seriousness, and just verifying one thing that just popped into my head about who this person could be. Let's just see if we can twist the knife a little bit. 1 second here.
Fortunately, he critted on his lustful trait, so...
Yeah, poor guy.
That's what happened last time, so I'm fully prepared.
It worked out great for Uther. Wait, no, it didn't. Okay, let me just check one thing. Got Edrich. Yes, indeed. I just want to verify. I'm pretty sure I do remember this to be the case. But do you remember who your sister Mena was wed to? Edrich? His name was Griffin,
no,
but do you have it? Okay.
Not out of character. This is the wrong family echo.
I'm just going to verify real quick on the family echo that we don't have anything about her. But I remember in my notes, just that she was born. Nothing about that. Okay.
Let me take a brief look. I suspect we're looking at the same thing, so...
Yep. I'm pretty sure your sister got married to someone in Huntland County, because I remember it being a contrast that happened while you were playing Goretrix, or like right after the whole Goretrix stuff with Huntland, and I remember it being scandalous. So,
yeah, Mena got married to Griffin. I don't know who that is, though.
Okay. Yep. It's all good. He is going to be, for whatever means, wherever, he is from Huntland, Heartland area. Give me a recognized roll, Edrich.
Absolutely. Success.
Okay. Yeah, and so he's probably around 40. Yep, you see Griffin. You haven't seen him since his wedding to your sister. He sits down across from you in the cell.
You never ride, you never come to feast. What kind of a man did my sister wed?
Things have been difficult here, Sir Edrich. We don't have the luxury of being off in the middle of nowhere like Salisbury does. The Saxons sit on our border, and those who wish to survive it had a difficult choice to make.
Well, I see you standing free there have not suffered too overmuch. But my sister, how is she?
She is well and safe.
Then that is good, and that I cannot fault you for. Family is sacred, and there are sacrifices one can make in their name that can be understood, if not condoned. But you imagine I am still not pleased with the current state of affairs.
Nor should you be, Sir Edrich. I come to you with news. Not necessarily news that you'll appreciate.
There is rarely good news once you reach a certain rank. Go forth, Sir Griffin.
The King of Essex has fallen, but his eighthling has taken over.
I see. And the Atheling must make certain choices now to cement his succession.
Indeed. He will be crowned this day. And the first thing all of his men will do is point their eyes to the decision of what to do with the Marshal of Salisbury.
Indeed. Smart money would be sacrifice.
Making an example for the enemies. It is something the Saxons might consider. After all, their goals are not all that different than ours, but their way of going about things, well, we know that they don't follow Christ to begin with. They have different gods they owe their fealty to, and those gods demand different things.
Yes, I've been on the receiving end of their fealty to Wotan, that they scream, wading into battle half naked. I confess, this is news that is worrisome. Not unexpected, I will say, but unfortunate.
I've done my best without sticking my neck out too far to offer counsel to the Atheling. It is why I'm in the position I'm in right now, to assist from where I can. I hope for an integration between our two peoples. If these generations have not seen to a conquering one way or the other, I'm not confident that such will ever come, even with this new Nanteleod king.
I will say this much, insofar as your desire for integration. Things are changing, and not just amongst the Saxons, but amongst the Cymri. Values shifting. People believe less, frankly, in personal glory, and some are beginning to move towards a more service-based method of, well, service, knighthood. It is odd, perhaps, to see history with one's own eyes and to see the eddies and flows, but things are changing. Through conquest or through cooperation and peace. Let me tell you, though, it is probably not too much of a balm for you, but marching alongside the armies of Nanteleod and Ulfius, it was the first time in quite a long time that I felt some degree of hope for Logres. Grand armies marching together towards a grand design to liberate a conqueror, to liberate lands held by a conqueror, and to fight a common foe.
And do you see this remaining? This alliance, or do you see him simply turning once he's gathered what he needs to and claiming Logres for Cambria?
If you had asked me months ago, I would have been far less certain in my But having known his knights, and having heard some of the words of his servants, I believe this will stay. Not purely for Nanteleod's value, but what has been seen here. Cooperation, unity, and who knows? Perhaps a high king.
I suspect that you will not have one without the other. I don't suspect that this Nanteleod will go peacefully from such a position as seeking the High Kingship. It is all but clear that's the direction he will go.
Indeed. But though he has expanded his borders through a great deal of conquest, I think in this age of warlords, it is coming, if not to an end, then to a pause. There is something on the horizon, something grand and meaningful, and even if I do not live to see it, I know it is coming, and that I had a hand in bringing it about. He's kind of alluding to the Pendragon heir.
I think that goes over his head, but he says,
Yeah.
I've not come here for small talk, brother-in-law. I'm here to relay your information for you so that you might know how to proceed. I'll warn you, there is no good outcome. I would not insult Sled's intelligence. He is someone who... He kind of leans in closer and whispers and says, is not the most refined even amongst his own people, nor the most clear-witted, but he knows when someone is mocking him. He intends to deliver to you by advisement to Salisbury a ransom that they are unwilling to pay for any one person. And when such a ransom is refuted as preposterous, then
Will send me back in appropriately parceled portions.
But there is a potential offer you might consider. It's one that perhaps your honor will not allow you to consider, but it is an option nonetheless. King Sled.
Capitulation.
And he pauses and says, Atheling Sled. He wishes more than anything to be recognized like the Kimry Knights do, and he himself seeks knighthood.
I think Edrich does the same motion. He kind of rears up, painful though it is, and gives a
It is possible. He has avoided knighting thus far by any of his own men. After all, that would be easy to refute as tyranny enforcing an outcome. But if a marshal from another lands were to do so, well, that perhaps might be a different story. It is a whisper I have offered him in his ear.
You are cunning, brother-in-law. I admit such a thing would not have occurred to me. Occurred to most, I should think. But I know, at least from my wife, that there is some benefit to integration. Knighthood, though. He is no knight. He serves no lord.
Thomas is free too? Okay.
No, I'm still here. Can you not hear me?
Well, your camera's freezing on the...
Oh dear.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And
I'm getting the same thing from Liam.
we'll
I'm
be
getting
right
it from
back.
Liam.
I am a nobody, a bastard, and I will make sure that I will create no bastard by my name.
Because I, for better or for worse, whether I like it or not, I am no longer a maiden. I am a knight, and I hold true to that.
You protected more than that. You stood by me when others might have let my mistakes be all I really was. You helped me. You saved me. And I'm sorry I couldn't repay that favor 10 times over.
I find it offensive that they do not consider my father the clear and rightful heir.
Our cameras were dying out there. We're back. Okay, so Edrich, you were there with your brother-in-law. He had just positioned the news to you.
Yes.
And then he says, how would you like me to proceed then, Sir Edrich? Should I continue to position this proposal carefully? Or do you need some time to consider where your honor stands in this?
I need but a few moments. And I think in that moment, he can see the points of light in the flickering torchlight of his eyes look away as he considers. And it's not for that long. Edrich is a political animal. The gaze returning, saying, continue to mention it. Say I was intrigued but reluctant, as indeed I am. I do believe this could be a interesting change, one that may leave a black mark on my record, but if it leaves Salisbury and my family in a good position. He is a conqueror, and he is a killer. And that is what a knight is, according to common wisdom.
He nods. I will do just that. Would you like me to offer any message back to your wife?
Tell her that I love her dearly, and that I will be home for winter. It does not have to be true.
He nods. Understood. All right. With that, we are going to go ahead and move to a scene with Sir Virgil.
Sir Virgil, that's me. I'm Sir Virgil.
We're going to take a look at this in a slightly different scenario. We're moving forward. This is going to be back in Salisbury. So Virgil, what were your hit points left at? You were unconscious but not past 0, right?
Correct. I was at 5 hit points.
Yeah. Okay. So
my unconscious is 7. So.
Yeah,
my unconscious is 8 with my True Knight bonus.
Because we're skipping forward a bit, we can assume a couple weeks pass. You're going to get some healing right back, and we're probably not likely to do too much. So we'll hand wave the recovery a little bit, at least for the purposes of this scene.
He's injured, but not dying.
Yeah.
I only had minor wounds, no major wounds, too. So.
Indeed. There is a small council meeting. This one lacks Florence. We'll find out why soon. Robert is here. Ellen is here. So your Earl's here. Ellen's here. And Erwin is here. And did you guys make a decision on Sir Bar? I think you did, right? Bar is part of it now? Yeah. So Bar is here. And House Idmiston does not have a representative active here, given where Rhodri is, given where Florence is.
And given that Iago doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Lady Ellen will say, begin, because she's still acting as head of the council. She says, now that we have everything in order, I wanted to draw our attention to the matters with Sir Edric's captivity. We've received news that Essex has taken Sir Edric ransom or hostage. They have offered, she pauses, an initial ransom of 2,000 librum. there's kind of there's either a sigh or like everyone looks less than satisfied with that matter. Sir Erwin says, given matters of war and the news from Summerland, the Saxons at our border having invaded recently, we should move to establish an interim marshal until Edrich is returned to us and safely. Sir Barr cuts in and says, if he's returned to us safely, it is something to consider. Ellen will say, I propose that Sir Erwin step into this role, given his position prior, at which Robert speaks up and says, and I propose that Sir Virgil be put in this position. And like, Ellen gives a motherly look of not disappointment, but she is being
It's not her choice.
yeah.
Very reasonably, that's not her choice. Wisest woman in the world, that's not her choice. Yeah.
Yep.
I think when Robert mentions Virgil, I think his head perks up a little bit, but not in a way of excitement. Just in a way of he was not expecting his name to get put forward. And I think there's a moment where the first person he looks to is Erwin. Now, him and Erwin have some recent context. Erwin's still alive now, largely because Virgil and him had a good talk. What's he looking like? How's he reacting to us two being put forward?
He isn't super ambitious, so he doesn't look like he's been like a plot's been foiled. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that look to him.
Yeah.
Your two names make the most sense. And so he doesn't really. He's keeping good posture here.
In that case, I think I would like to test a passion.
Give her.
Okay, let's see what this does for Virgil then. I think Virgil's going to make an orate roll. Would you like me to roll that before or after I say what I have to say?
Say what you have to say and we'll modify it accordingly on the orate. See how well it's received by most. How's that sound?
I think Virgil puts two hands on the table and uses it as leverage to help stand him up. He didn't take major wounds from that last fight, but he was in three pretty major conflicts back to back, as a lot of them was, and he ended up unconscious in all three of them. So he's been on death's door, on death's door a couple of times in the last month, and he still stands all the way, and he goes, "Members of the closed council, I had considered it my duty to Edrich and to Robert and to all of Salisbury to serve as Edric's second. I would be his arm in areas where he could not. I understand there's a lot of caution around me. I've always been off-putting, and though I've made friends here, and he looks to Erwin and then to Robert, and then to Ellen as well. I have always had Salisbury's best interests at heart. I can't say that I'm the best man for the job. I'm no tactician. I was not born meant to have something. Now I do. And I have always fought to keep it. Not for myself, or for my children, but for Salisbury and its people. We are a great land. We have great knights. We've shown again and again that Salisbury, small as it may be, is full of the highest caliber.
Okay. I like it. Why don't you tell me what your glory is before the glory of this game? Just your glory, like...
8,101.
Okay. You may modify your orate by 8.
Okay.
There you go.
Holy shit.
Yeah. All right. So tick orate.
It's already ticked.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think he's gonna say one more thing to close it out.
Yeah.
He goes, should I have the position, I would like Erwin to be as I was to Edrich, and vice versa. Salisbury stands together. That's more important than it's ever been. And if nothing else, I will be a pillar that all of you can lean on. That, I swear upon my honor.
Okay, so I think what happens is the Countess calls for a vote. With you and Erwin abstaining. Ellen will say, it seems unfit and improper of me to do anything but vote for the name that I put forward. And so I will lead first by saying I promote Sir Erwin. And like almost immediately after, Earl Robert says, and I will side with Sir Virgil. And then everyone looks at Barr. Barr's like the least politician out of the whole group, right? And he's
got that slimy two-face.
Yeah.
He's got that two-face.
He like sighs and he's like, no offense, Sir Erwin, but I believe Virgil's words have spoken enough for this. I will side with Virgil. And he looks at you and he says, but no more body slamming, Marshal.
You wouldn't ask a bear not to rage, would you?
I would. And I do right now, he says. I want you to tick modest, Virgil. You can tick let me just tick loyalty lord.
Yes.
And then I want to check something here. There's a Book of Sires one, and I want to see if it makes sense. Deep. Okay, yeah. I want you to make a Liam roll 3d6 for me, or 2d6 plus 6 actually. Let's make one of them a 6. Okay, 8 plus 6. So You have a new passion called Heritage Salisbury. 14.
Oh. I have a new passion. It's called take 14 damage, I'm dead.
Yes. Forgot to mention that part.
Instant death. My favorite result.
Okay. All right.
This is how Salisbury elected a literal fucking serial killer to the highest office.
What's wrong with that?
I'm not going to make a comment about that.
Which serial?
Exactly.
You have to be
You
more
already
specific.
had one.
Yeah. All right. We're going to change scenes again. In this case, oh, I didn't mean to do that. In this case, I'm going to invite Zach in. Zach, when you see this, please join us.
It's Zach time. It's Zach time.
Is he going to kill Sir Florence?
He shows up.
It's like a
Jaren
Monty Python
challenges him to a duel and kills Virgil immediately.
Zach, it's been too
I'm
long.
in charge now.
We've got children for you to kill.
All right, Zach, and yeah, perfect. All right, there we go. Look at that seamless transition. I'm so proud. We did it. Okay. We close in on a scene. We see a series of we see some Saxons walking by basically sundown. So we see behind them knights in chains being pulled along on a chain gang, effectively. And there's only like a small entourage guarding this, maybe 4 or 5 knights. And as they round the hillside, there's a knight up on his horse looking over the scene. And it zooms in on 2 of the knights, and they say, do you see that up there? And he says, yes. It's just some lone knight. And the other one says, or it's that thing. And the other one shakes his head and laughs, says, those are old tales, falsehoods. Someone's taken it upon themselves to harry us in our own lands. Doubtless it's some sort of creature. And he says, no creature, a fiend knight. The scene kind of moves forward a bit, and we see the moon start to rise, and we hear the sound of a horse. We hear the exchange of blades and cries of death. When the scene's left, we see that knight that was on the hillside and a massacre of Saxons. And with that, we zoom in on that knight as he sees amongst those still remaining a number of Kimri, all looking to be nobles, likely those held for ransom.
So the knight, just as far as appearances of this guy now, probably looks incredibly travel worn. Everything he has is quite dull, but well patched, effective. His armor he's not raggedy. He's just travel worn, like he's been baked in the sun for far too long. And he seems to always have his hand mailed gauntlet on the scabbard of his sword, if not the hilt at all times. He slowly makes his way through the prisoners. He hasn't unchained any of them. He hasn't given a key. He hasn't done anything towards these people. He more or less just stares at them. And there's something very unnerving in his eyes. It's not like it's looking at people. Despite it looking at them, it seems he is, well, he probably, I don't think we really wear helmets too much in this time period, but,
They're little iron clasp. We got
little iron
helmets.
clasp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would probably have one of those, along with a traveling hooded cloak. But as he approaches them, is there any that looks to be leading them? Any one of them stepping up as he stomps?
As you approach, I think almost all of them kind of cower back. But one doesn't. One just kind of screws up their eyes and looks at you a little bit, like squints kind of thing. And yeah.
So the knight's head jerks in the direction of that particular individual and moves closer. Almost moving is the wrong word. It's almost like stalking. Despite being large and broad-shouldered, he walks up. He sort of sputters out what seems to be a word. It's more of a grunt at first, as if he hasn't spoken in a while, and it's there's something in his throat. Perhaps it's just dry. But eventually, he tries again with a little bit of frustration in his brow. Name.
He says, that is you. That's you, my lord. Jaren, where have you been?
The knight blinks for a second, like that's all of those words don't. It takes a while for them to process. What is your name?
Sir Durnford, sir. Sir Durnford of Kingstown. I served your wife, Sir Everard, Lady Everard.
There's another few words that seem to impact Lady Everard. He looks down and towards the others chained, blinking again. How were you captured?
A betrayer knight, sir. He opened the door for the Saxons. They took the lady.
Jaren, his brow furrows even more so than it was before. There's a murderous look, as if and his hand clasped around the hilt of his sword sort of shakes. It's almost unbidden, the movement. Where?
I know not where she was taken, sir. They took me elsewhere. I've been in captivity. It was almost 2 years now, if my counting of the cycles is correct. Sir, you've been gone a very long time. A very long time. It was the Swansman. Or was the Swansman.
Time. Aye. Months. Just months since I have been here. Slaughtering all that I could. Say years. Years since the lady has been taken and you did not tell me. There's a growing rage that seems to be directed in not the right direction, which is currently the person in front of him.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a valorous test -5 here. So he definitely looks terrified, but he stays firm, and he says, "My lord, if I knew you were with us still, or even where you might have been, I would have surely found you. And if I was free, I would search day and night to find her safe again. But I too was taken captive. And without a lord or lady to ransom me back, I have been of little use to the Saxons."
So Jaren heard barely any of that. There's just this look on his face as he reaches out very quickly for a man of his size. And he just grabs the hem of this guy's shirt. It pulls him close to his face.
Yeah. He gets pulled. And his headset falls off. Just like my broken ass one day.
And Jaren just breathes heavily as he tries to contain whatever is going on in his mind. And he throws the man to the ground, seemingly in his way to relieve tension as he takes a step or two in the other direction.
Yeah, he's still bound, right? They're still in shackles, they haven't been freed that way yet.
Oh yeah, no, they haven't been freed.
He's sorry, you stepped away.
Jaren steps away for a second. His other hand's still tight on the hilt of his sword. He reaches into one of or down onto the ground, perhaps above a corpse of one of the Saxons, and he pulls something. These arms, the weapons, axes, swords, you will need them for what we are about to do.
He nods and he went from thinking that he was about to be executed to gaining some hope that Jaren's still in there somewhere. So he nods. Of course, my lord. Whatever you require, I'm sworn to you. And the others are quick, mostly out of fear, to do the same.
Jaren, he throws the keys to the man and says, "No, you are sworn to Lady Everard."
This is true.
And when we fight, when we free them, you must fight away from me. I will draw them out. You will see.
But my lord, if you were to draw their attention, who is to be there to serve as your bodyguard? To ensure that you do not die?
Jaren, his head tilts and he gives a smile that has no joy. I have no need for anyone but my blade and my counsel. I will be fine. Worry about your own lives. And worry about your obligation.
He nods.
Any of you who do not fight, I will behead you myself when I am done with the Saxons.
They all nod. Oh, of course, my lord. We'll fight to the death. Anything you might ask. Against the Saxons, one of them says.
And that's enough for Jaren. He's not one for many words or valorous speeches. He more or less turns and starts to walk back to his horse.
All right. Zach, is there any advice Jaren, who we met in 484, would give himself now that he is what he is?
Oh boy. Advice. Go if you gotta go back to Summerland, make sure you like stay away or knock out any witch. Any witch that may or may not cast spells at you, unbidden,
Very good.
But if they got nice swords to hand out, that's fine.
Your
That's fair.
advice to yourself is pick up the cursed sword again.
Yes, you'll see why. It was a good decision, I'm sure.
Is it me who was wrong? No, it was the witches. It was the witches who did it.
I do love how extremely specific the advice Jared has for himself is.
Very good.
It's very important.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Zach, for participating in this. And we're going to go ahead and go to break, and we'll see everyone soon.
I am a nobody, a bastard, and I will make sure that I will create no bastard by my name.
Because I, for better or for worse, whether I like it or not, I am no longer a maiden. I am a knight, and I hold true to that.
You protected more than that. You stood by me when others might have let my mistakes be all I really was. You helped me. You saved me. And I'm sorry I couldn't repay that favor 10 times over.
I find it offensive that they do not consider my father the clear and rightful heir.
And we are back, and we continue our guests spinning around here. We go to Megan from Zach. This is not Zach, just in case you were curious, as reflected by the name tag. Yeah. Oh, good times. Everything's not working. Hold on. Come on, cameras. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. No. They are being dumb. Okay, one sec.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
And here I was thinking I had it all down pat, but it hates me.
You're doing great, Bob. You're doing great. Earnestly,
Yeah.
honestly,
Indeed.
you're doing excellent.
100%. You're doing a very cool thing, and OBS
We got
and
it.
Twitch are being strangers for you. Excellent.
Yeah, they're being dumb, but we got it going now. I think we got everyone back.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we zoom in on Summerland, and we're gonna pick up in the middle of things. But to set some background for Megan, since Megan's probably like, "What the hell's going on at the moment?"
Where am I? And what am I doing?
Eronwi has been assisting in Summerland as Cornwall has been invading over the course of the previous year. Last year, they were successful in taking Wells and most of the south, and this year they campaign further north. Eronwi has been attached to a series of rebels, as we say, who are fighting behind enemy lines, trying to harry their supply lines and keep Cornwall's invasion from moving more slowly than it currently has been able to. Cornwall has a target this year, very clearly, of advancing through the rest of Summerland and claiming it.
Well, we can't have that.
Yeah. And they've had every battle you've been a part of has been a loss. Every major battle. The only success you've found is on these harrying routes that you've participated in. But that's also put a bit of a target on your head. As you're riding through, as we pick up, you are amongst three of your allies, the only remnants of the group that you were fighting with, as you're pursued by a great number of Cornish mercenaries. Most of these mercenaries aren't actually from Cornwall. They're actually from a certain praetor and his men.
Whoa.
Opinions on Syagrius?
Hmm?
Is it Syagrius? Do I have opinions on this praetor?
I don't know if you would at this point. Well, you might now. These Roman.
Now, yeah, they suck.
How he still claims to have been Madoc's killer, right?
I don't think that was confirmed.
No, but he claims it.
Right? He did claim it. Yep.
Well,
if that's relatively public
Based of
knowledge,
him to, kind of based of him to at least want to be the guy that killed Madoc, you know?
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I think Aram was probably all right with him, actually.
other detail that might add to that is Madoc was Dallin's little guy, and Dallin would not have shut up about that guy and how much he sucks.
On one hand, sad that Dallin liked someone that sucked so bad. I think Aranwi will be quiet whenever Dallin talks about Madoc and just like, yeah. How is his rating? So I think
we should have another Dallin a runway soon.
no, I don't want to have that conversation.
We should have that conversation.
Syagrius, based, unfortunate that he is hunting us down. I don't like him currently, but in general, cool guy.
You've seen no sign of that direct man on the battlefield, but these are certainly his knights that are in pursuit of you. There's about they outnumber you probably 2-1 right now, so you have 3 allies. They probably have 8 knights in total. As you turn, you're riding through the forest, which is rather dense, and you continue to ride until you find yourself in a field all of a sudden. And the field is barren save for a giant castle in the distance.
Okay.
You see
Not
a...
familiar with this castle, I assume?
Give me like a hunting test and a battle test if you have both handy. If not, I can roll for you and kind of...
I have
Can't remember if your sheet was... Yeah, your sheet is...
here.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Hunting and battle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's battle first. And hunting. I'm kind of good at these things now. Good work, Aronwi.
Yeah,
Success on both. My girl's got it.
you've been harrying behind like near wells for a while now. You have not seen this castle. On top of that, the way the forest is, it should continue north for a good 2 hours of travel before it ends. So you don't know of any clearing that's been here that's this big that you can think of.
This seems like a nonsense. And therefore, because I am fighting on the side of Summerland against invaders into Summerland, I think there is a chance that this castle might be good for me and bad for these guys. So let's go towards that.
Okay. As you ride...
I hope that no one is yelling at me in the comments about that. Maybe that's stupid.
Make a horsemanship test. This isn't to fall off your horse, though I guess if you fumble, it could fall off your horse.
Oh.
It is a chase. Yeah. No. Yep. So you ride fast, and your men try to keep up. I don't think they're going to be quite as successful as you. One sec.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, two of them ride hard, and they manage to kind of keep up. The other one is speared and javelined and arrowed down to death, leaving 3 of you against the 8. But as you reach within the vicinity of the castle, you see the drawbridge, not door, but drawbridge, come down. And you see a knight in dark armor ride out. They look towards you and your other men, and they start to charge. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna maybe roll a trusting versus suspicious, probably.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Real quick.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
they're both
uncertain.
failures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? I'm gonna order my men to like clear the way for him and hope that he doesn't go around to hit us and just goes through us.
Okay. And he does just that. He rides through you, and he downs 2 of the men with a single lance strike, like kind of skewers them like a kebab. The lance goes right through 2 of them, and he pulls out his sword, kills the other, leaving 1 for you to down. We're not gonna get into combat in these vignettes. That would kind of suck, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're left with a knight sort of unhorsing himself and spending some time to pull the spear back out of the 2 skewered knights.
All right. I will off the last knight. I've got my spear. Just huck it at him. And then I'm going to ride up to the dark armored knight and say, "Thank you for your help. I'm Dame Aronwi of Summerland. What's your name?"
He kind of looks at you. He's in a full helm, like a helm that doesn't exist right now in this period.
Oh, these guys again. I hope it's not my old friend.
He walks over back to his horse after kind of staring at you for a moment and saying nothing. And he walks back over to his horse, and in kind of a deeper voice, he just says, "You're trespassing. Please leave." Give me
Absolutely.
a recognize roll and add 5 to it.
I love recognizing and adding 5. I'm really bad at recognize, by the way. I failed to recognize.
It sounds really
By a
familiar, but you can't place it. But you're certain you know the voice, and you can't place why.
Of course we'll leave. We didn't think this castle would be here. Before we go, and she starts like motioning to the men to like get the hell out of here. I feel like I know you from somewhere.
You kind of get them to separate from you so they're not in earshot? Is that what you were doing? I just want to understand your intention with the other men.
No, it's the man has asked me to leave, and so this is kind of like a showing intent to like, we are leaving. I'm not dallying around. I just also would like to ask you this before I go.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll look at the men and since they've given him a bit of space and like with the intent to leave, he'll nod to you.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Just a nod.
What was your question? Maybe I missed that.
I feel like I know you. We're leaving, but I feel like I know you from somewhere.
Now is not the time, Dame Aronwi. Give me another recognized roll. This time you can add 10 to it. We'll see if you're...
Okay.
We'll see if this remains a mystery or not with your situation.
Ronwy, I'm begging you. Do I have any, Oh, probably not. Okay. Oh, thank God. Success.
Nice.
We've done it.
Okay. You remember the voice of the prince, though it's darker, deeper, and there's something about it that sort of sounds gritty, darker,
Okay. It's
off.
like cool and like hot, kind of.
He has a helmet on.
Okay.
It's hard to say.
I know in my heart. So I think the second that she realizes that, she like sits up a little straighter and goes like, I understand. Thank you again for helping us, and good luck with Summerland. We'll help however we can.
Summerland's Cadwy's problem. This is my domain.
Uh-oh. Something happened while I was gone. She'll like... Oh, then I hope that you can keep trespassers off your land, sir. It's good to see that you are all right, at least alive. If you need any help, I would be happy to assist if I can.
As you kind of... He gives you a nod, but he says nothing else. But as you're starting to leave, he says... Meliagrance is the name. Melwis is no more.
What happened over there? I see. Meliagrass?
Meliagrance. Yeah,
Meliagrance. Then, until next time, Sir Meliagrance. And she will ride off?
Okay. We will zoom out and close out on that scene, but when we return, we'll be seeing the connection between the Black Dog and Aronwi as a result of that scene. So that will be done in a upcoming scenario, as will Sir Jaren's little piece that we made reference to. So hold tight for that. We'll be scheduling and streaming that as well. Megan, what advice would Aronwi who had just lost Derwin when we saw them on screen, give to current Eronwy all these years later.
Oh.
Kill Jared.
Well, future Aronwy would give past Aronwy some advice, but past Aronwy, I think that she would tell future Aronwy that she wants her to stay the course no matter what. I don't think she has any, like, concept of the things that can go wrong and will go wrong. So I think she would still feel very hopeful about the idea of becoming a knight. So I think
that makes sense to me. All right, friend. Well, I thank you very much for your cameo tonight. I wanted to try to get in as many of the OGs as we could while my headset falls apart on my head. Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful to have you, and we'll be in touch soon about that scene that's been lingering. So make it happen.
All right.
All right.
Go on.
Excited to do that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Right.
Take care.
That was delightful. Farewell.
Go
Leave.
play on the freeway. Be gone.
So that prince, that was Aronwy's sire, right? Or was that a different prince?
It was. Okay. I'm just making sure we're set up for success here. And we are good. Okay, let's continue, gang. We pick up with a scene with Sir Florence. I do need a name for this person. Guido.
Craig.
Perfectly. Yeah, almost.
Guido.
Same
Guido?
way.
Guido?
Guido. Yeah. Arriving back in Salisbury, you find yourself with a messenger in Idmiston. He bears the colors of King Idris of Cornwall.
I take it you're here to see me. Florence gets off his horse and readies his walking stick. Or his cane.
I have a royal message for you, sir. And he brings it to you. He says, he'd allow you to unseal it. And I don't remember if Florence reads or not, or if he would like the messenger to read
Florence
it too.
can actually read now, though his reading is very limited.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and read
You
it?
want to
don't
make a
have-
read check?
You can make a read check, but you don't need to pass. You just need to not fumble.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 It takes him a bit of time
Yeah.
to sound out the words.
You are being called to hold the city of Wells in Summerland, effective immediately.
Oh. Uh-oh.
He nods it and goes, well, I do as my king commands. Puts the letter away. And he would go to ready his the Knights of Axe, and ride off to Wales.
Wells, not Wales. Just so you know. Yeah. Just making sure. Yeah. Wales is in Summerland. Wales is in Wales. So, now the question is, what way does Florence want to travel? Because his options are the Forest Gloom or the Long Way. One of the long ways. You could travel through Bath, or you could travel through back through Cornwall and then back up.
Probably gonna go through Cornwall.
Okay.
Don't think it's a good idea to travel through Summerland to get to a place to defend it from the Summerlanders.
Yeah, I just wanted to verify. Okay. We cut forward and we see Florence arriving in Wells. It's clearly conquered. You see the banners of Cornwall there. And you can make a heraldry test for me to locate the right person to check in with.
Almost rolled hunting. Sad.
Do you recall who Sir Urban is?
Do I recall?
Yeah, some guy.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Make a recognize test.
I don't recognize him, so Florence definitely doesn't. No.
Okay. Yeah, so you go to report into this injured general, who you'll be relieving from the battle, from holding the city. He nods to you. Sir Florence, welcome.
Thank you, Sir Knight. I came as soon as I received a letter from the king.
He looks to you for a second and he said, it must have been some time that you've been away in Salisbury.
Actually, I've been spending my time in Heartland for some reason. It's been quite a wild time. There are many stories I could share, but I think you're probably looking to get what you can and take some time for recovery.
I mean, nods. Fighting other kings' wars, then.
Well, I do as my king commands. And his commands have reached as far as that.
Well, it really should be as simple as rooting out any resistance here in the south to make sure that the supply lines are covered in the north.
Of course.
Everything else is well looked after by the two generals.
Who are our generals for this brunt of the war?
Sir Meliodas leads the Western Front, and Prince Mark leads the Eastern Front.
Wonderful. And it seems we have nothing to worry about in those effects. Those two are quite capable. I should know. I've gotten a chance to know them personally.
News has it that they should be reaching Bath soon in the east. And the king's orders suggest that they will not stop there. If a siege is to take place on the capital, your forces will be called to support such a siege, even if it brings us into winter.
Of course. I am at my king's command.
He nods. Is there any news you would like me to bring home to your barony in the Axe?
Oh, yes. Tell them that, the war goes well, and that I will, as always, stand as a shining example to the Knights of, well, the entire Isle. To the king.
To the king. He nods and he starts to shuffle out, probably on some makeshift cane, not something fancy like yours. Something he's been given by a Churgeon.
I think with that, as he leaves, we see Florence physically wince as he kind of, after holding back his kind of wounded state, kind of crumples a little as he keeps himself just held up on his cane.
As you kind of go about and look around your immediate surroundings, give me a heraldry test.
Right. Success. A 1.
You see a familiar banner the letters SPQR at the bottom.
I think he would investigate further.
Okay. You look about and you see lots of mercenary forces here, but no sign of Syagrius.
Is anyone that seems to be a commando bearing the heraldry?
Yes, you do see one of those.
He'd probably approach them.
Lord Commander?
Greetings. As I'm sure you've heard, I have been placed in charge of the defense of Wales. Baron Flo of that.
Sir Caius. A pleasure.
Indeed. Sir Caius, if I remember correctly, you're part of one of the bands of Romans in these lands. Not the case?
Aye, sir. From Soissons.
Soissons. Fascinating. Tell me, who is the praetor of your band? Quite some time since I've really noticed any of them. Well, aside from Praetor Jonathan.
He laughs at that, at the mention of Jonathan, and then he says, not Jonathan, no. Syagrius.
Ah, Syagrius. That name is familiar to me somehow.
He doesn't seem to be he doesn't seem to have any reaction to that at all.
No.
Well, actually, you know what he does? He'll just kind of speak proudly. He'll say, he commands one of the greatest mercenary units here on this island, and has since the death of Uther. If not before.
Well, there are those that can have that opinion. He'd be an old man by this point, would he not?
Yet he remains quick of mind and fit.
I'm surprised one has not fallen to madness, being so, well, aged.
Give me I want you to make an honest test to see how honest Florence comes off.
Okay. Nope.
Okay. I will allow you to intrigue -10.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would I get my impassioned bonus or not?
Were you impassioned or were you just testing? Because I didn't hear an impassioned call. I heard testing.
That's a good point. Just
Yeah.
a test. Let's go. Ooh, success.
So
He,
fast, so good.
He says in response to you, he says, well, mad, perhaps not, but he does have his obsessions.
Obsessions? How interesting.
Indeed.
Well, let me guess. Some sort of reclaiming of ancient Rome? Seems to be the most common among praetors I have met.
He laughs at that. I'd say he surrendered such obvious fallacy. That would never occur. His obsessions seem to be more pragmatic, at least to some. But I say he is a bit distracted. He keeps going on about this Merlin, needing to find him and slay him. And
Merlin. Familiar to me.
something about a winter prince. On and on he goes.
Winter Prince? Well, I must say it does seem quite odd to me, but I am unsure of Roman tradition. No, all honesty.
He smiles.
But I look forward to working with you, Commander.
You as well. He says, we are employed and at your service. On behalf of the
Wonderful.
king. All right. And then, is there anything you wanted to add to that, Mark?
I think he just goes, you know what? As it is my first day as Lord Commander of Wales, perhaps I should hold a feast. Yeah, something wonderful to inspire the men.
Of course, sir. Florence.
Yes.
You know it's like a muddy shithole right now from all the warring that's happened here previously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, nonetheless.
I imagine he says that looking around to see like all the injured and just like injured knights and people having a horrible time.
Yeah.
With a big smile on his face, almost oblivious to his surroundings.
Alrighty. We're gonna round back to Edrich at this point. Edrich has healed quite a bit, not entirely healthy at this point. You're taken in shackles before what looks like King Sled. He looks like he's aged a bit in the eyes. He had a boyish face before. Definitely more of a meathead in look. A bit more facial hair than he had before.
Speaking of facial hair, I imagine there's not much in the way of personal grooming done down in the dungeons.
No.
So though he has healed quite a bit, there's his hair is longer and more like ragged facial hair, but his eyes are the same. That look around, and there's a part of him deep down that goes, "Give me a sword and I'll take down at least 4." But as he is brought before Sled, he regards him, looking at him with cold, reptile-like eyes. King Sled. He'd use the proper Saxon term, because he knows it.
Yeah. He nods to you, and then he motions, and a herald begins to speak and says, King Sled has offered your ransom for 2,000 librum to Salisbury. Having not yet heard word of anything other than willingness from Salisbury to negotiate and the support and assistance of King Nanteleod, King Sled will offer you, Sir Edrich, a counter-proposal. If the proposal is not accepted, should Salisbury not meet his demands come the winter, you will face execution.
I shall hear it.
King Sled then kind of waves the herald away, even though he's got a bit of a broken Kimry. And he says, I wish to be a knight, knighted by a marshal, knighted by the killer of Eosa.
I see. And I think Edrich, because he doesn't want to appear too eager. If he's too eager, then Sled might go, ooh, I can get more. But he will say, you are certain of this?
He looks confused. And you see You see Griffith as one of the people he looks to, and Griffith nods to him. He kind of screws his brow up a little bit at you, furrows his brow, and he says, "What? Of course. As Sled, I don't consider such things simply. To be a knight is to be respected on this island, so I will be respected."
And here I think Edrich is going to a little bit slyly say, "It is true in many ways that a knight is a killer and a conqueror, a holder of lands, and you have done that well, King Sled. It would not be out of the question for me to knight you."
He nods and he adds, "I ride a horse well as well, and I can joust."
And those are excellent qualities as well. None can fault your valor. And in his mind, he says, at the very least.
He nods. "I hear that the sword is necessary as part of the ceremony. I prefer my axe."
So long as I can carry it, you will be knighted as such. A knight is skilled in all manner of weapons, and your axe is, sufficient. So long as you can wield it as your true tool of death, that is all that is required.
He nods. "Then it will be done. We will prepare this at Yule, and then you will return home."
This is acceptable. My thanks, King Sled. And I just need to really quickly check my traits. Really. Alright, I'm good. I think Edrich looks at this and goes, "Well, I mean, there are worse things that have happened, and there are worse things that I've done to survive. And he has done a lot of things that prove knighthood, and also, this might end up benefiting us more than it does him. If he gets brought closer into the culture, who knows what he might do. And if nothing changes, then nothing changes, and we can kill him later." He is content to have perhaps a little bit of a black mark on his record, as the man who knighted King Sled, to survive and get back home. But who's to say how people will look at it?
All right. Is there anything else you want to do with that scene, Thomas?
I think... Can I get the impression of when he said knights are respected and I want respect? Was that the whole truth? Is that like the entirety of why he wants to be a knight? Or is there something else there?
Yeah, you can do an intrigue test. Absolutely.
Let's do it. Success.
Yeah, seems to be the intent. He has there are almost no leaders, say for the Saxons on this island, who aren't knights. The exception being King Cadwy in Summerland.
Yeah, I think Edrich looks at this and goes, right, he's got half the right idea and half the wrong idea about what it means to be knighted, and I'm happily going to take advantage of that half wrong idea to get out alive. I think it's very good. He's going to send a fruit basket to Sir Griffin if he gets out alive.
Okay. And then finally, this is going to be a very short, very, very short scene. I need you to open up Cynstenian sheet and roll hunting +5 because you have Virgil's hounds with you.
That's right. Rolling for Cynstenian. Cynstenian has good hunting.
Okay. Excellent.
18 of 20.
You continue to track through Chute, down the river, through Camelot Forest, where the scene picks up. As you pass by an empty Blackboar Manor, continue down further. You make it to the river that would separate effectively, or the water that would separate you from the late Hanton, now Wessex.
We're close. I can feel it. Goodness, but these forests are confusing. Let's ride onwards and carefully. I have an ill feeling about this place.
Make another
You don't
hunting.
have to do that every time.
Make another hunting roll, +5 again. See if you track them down.
Absolutely. You can do it every time if you want, Liam. That was just me being.
Awoo, sir.
Success.
Okay, let me just do this. Okay, and then you both tied once. Let's do one more time. You're gonna need a crit
All
to
right.
catch them.
Can I impassion Cynstenian?
Yes, because you
I
kind
will
of
impassion him.
You can tell they're
Yeah,
outpacing
with
you right now.
Exactly. I will impassion him with his exalted lover's family because he's getting his wife back.
Yeah,
Even
makes
though
sense.
he doesn't know it, it's just his wife because Oslaf is safe. So let's do this. That is not a crit. I rolled a natural 6.
Okay. So maybe we'll leave it at this. Cynstenian's left with crossing into Wessex if he wants to pursue this further. Otherwise, trusting the ransom that might come. Now, as a lady of a branch house of a manor, even it would be unreasonable to suggest more than a simple ransom for her. But I don't know how much you trust them to follow. Oh, you got an advantage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Let me do that one more time. Come on, big money, big money, big money. This is the 4th time this exact thing has happened.
Yeah.
Where an advantage is redeemed, and I get exactly one more than I did previously. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You're
It's
living
okay.
the life. You're living the way.
Obviously, it wasn't meant to be easy here. So, yeah.
Yes. I'm actually going to. I'm
Do you
gonna
need to
make 2
test hate
rolls.
Saxons versus something?
Yes, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see, because he's impassioned with his love of family. He's going to think, can I trust these barbarians? No, he can't. I think.
You know what? I will say this. I think you should still do a trusting versus suspicious with a +1 -5. So plus, you know.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think he's very much like, I don't know what these people will do with my wife, but it's probably not good, and we don't want her to remain in captivity for long. He looks at the people he's with, which are the hounds, the people who have gotten in hot water for assassinating the wife and children of another knight's manor, and goes, I think we've got the people and the skill set to venture in as best we can and take who we can. This is now a rescue mission, well and true, in enemy territory. If the hounds wish to turn back, he will be going incognito by himself. He is a very dedicated, very driven, at this point, middle-aged knight.
I don't think the hounds are afraid to follow orders. It's a matter of whether Virgil gave them orders to follow Cynstenian to till the goal was arranged. If so, then if there's no conditions on it, then they will follow you.
Virgil's orders were do whatever it takes and follow Cynstenian as if his orders were my own. So
done. Yeah, then they're right there with you. And we will pick back up with Cynstenian's push into Essex the next time we play, because we'll be visiting Dallin at that point. But for we're gonna close out with a scene with the black dog as you ride through the marshlands of Summerland. You make your way into a camp after some attempts to do so. You find the banners of the King of Summerland within these marshes. Liam, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So you are riding into the marshlands in Summerland. You have as Perin, as the black dog.
Mm-hmm.
You see the banners of Summerland within the marshlands. You were riding through fog for almost 2 hours before you reached this place. You see what looks like an encampment of refugees, and you think perhaps it's a bit strange to see. Actually, would you? Perin or Percy as it is a battle tactician, and it's probably got the history of it. You know that the Cadwi, this wouldn't be the first time that Cadwi did not trust in keeps and strongholds to protect him in times of invasion. The last time Uther did it, he was found in such similar situation.
Percy will put up a hand and kind of stop his men, and he'll take two of his bodyguards, and he'll make his way up. Can I make a battle test to see where this camp is most vulnerable? I'm not necessarily going to go through that path, but I just want to kind of have awareness of it.
Okay.
Success. That's not Virgil though. That's
yeah.
Percy. The black dog.
You look around, and it's almost like the land around you seems to be covered this low fog that makes it almost impossible to really survey. And that's nothing I don't think you've ever encountered, because now if you talk to Dallin, she encountered it, but you have not.
Well, I think Percy is going to have one of his two bodyguards light up a torch and kind of stand in the halfway between the camp and the rest of his troops. And then he's going to go in all the way with his last bodyguard and himself. Let's see what we have here.
As you make your way in, you see there's two guards that stand over the main tent. One of them steps forward and says, "The black dog, is it?"
See, my reputation precedes me.
The king will see you now. He's been waiting.
Of course he has.
Percy will dismount and make his way into the tent. Once he does, he'll clear his throat and go on. King Cadway, I presume.
Ah, yes. He smiles. Would you care for a glass of wine?
No, thank you. I've lost my taste for it over the years.
He smiles. I can understand that, Sir Perin. Such things happen.
I have many suspicions. Few of them are of you. But you knew I was coming. I ask, is that of your own power, or were you told?
He smiles. Told? No, not really. I see things sometimes.
I see. And Percy will sit across from Cadway and goes, well then, I'm sure what you've seen, the fact that I'm here, that you're speaking to me, that you know a name I once went by, you also know what's important to me. What can I do for you?
I would like to employ you into our service formally. The black dog, of course, he says.
Of course. That might be difficult, Cadway. I have heard that my services might be employed by another currently. One who has allowed me to give you the aid that I have over these last year.
You speak of Vortimer's grandson, Nanteleod.
I make no judgments on the man, but he has swayed me to think that he would prep the land for a better king, one way or the other.
Meat with mustard, he says, as he reaches and has a tray of food. It looks to be very arranged, like he was expecting a parlay out here.
I think Percy will smile and goes, if you eat first, of course.
He nods. Yes, we wouldn't want anyone getting poisoned. It's a very reasonable response. Of course, it wouldn't necessarily have the same effect on me, would it? That's okay, though. And with that, he bites into the meat.
I'll trust your openness to be a sign that you have nothing to hide. And he'll take a bite himself, and he goes, I don't work for money, Cadway. The money helps. It pays for the troops, it feeds the men, keeps them loyal and honest. But if you want me to come and serve down here, beyond the help that I have already provided, I need to have a reason for it.
You seek to support the Winter Prince, do you not? He whispers.
Is that what they're calling him?
That is the name. Right or wrong?
I heard a rumor that he was down here. When I came to aid you, I did so before I knew that for certain. But now, is it true?
I've seen him. with my own eyes. He is the heir of Uther Pendragon.
Merlin seemed to believe that the boy would be safer away from Britain.
Well, it seems that other forces have intervened in such a plan, if that's the case. For I believe he is quite here. Though you should know that the rumor is spread. There are opponents on the Cornish side of things that have heard such rumors as well. Of the Roman variety?
Zacharias.
He smiles.
I see. The boy is no longer safe then.
He is kept, not by me, and by forces of the very one you serve. And others who've sworn such allegiances as you. Not just you, of course. The other Swords of Victory hold similar loyalties. But he is... He's being looked after, not only by the king's most trusted, but by other mercenaries. Ones who once served Uther Pendragon.
Well, that is very good to know. And where do you stand in all this, Wizard King? I imagine you are no fonder of Uther Pendragon than I was, and yet it seems we've both found ourselves interested in protecting his heir.
It seems that summer is setting. The lands are changing. There are new times ahead. I've come to accept it. The land and the king are one.
One land, one king. It's been a long time since I've heard that. Even longer since I... Alright, Cadway. We've both seen the future. What would you have me do to bring it about?
There are the Romans. The Romans will threaten the Winter King before he is king. This much I've seen.
Give me direction, and there will be no threat.
Right. And with that, I think we'll bring episode 100 to a close. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's do some quick outros, and then we can let everyone wander off and get some sleep. We'll start with Thomas. Or whatever you're going to do.
Yes. My name has been Thomas, and I've been playing Sir Edrich, former Marshal of Salisbury. After he comes back, we'll see what happens. Glad to be alive, and we'll see what happens with that. That's been me. Farewell.
Perfect. And Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just checking out our handy dandy Discord. By the way, did you know we have a Discord? Come check us out. Lots of fun things on there, such as shitposting, memes, wonderful pictures, and a wonderful community. As well, notifications on whenever we go live, as well as new projects we're doing. For example, tomorrow I will be running the 12th episode and last episode for the year of Isle of the Damned, my Vampire of the Dark Ages campaign. So come join us if you're up at the absurd hour, that is 6 p.m. AEST. Yeah, I'm excited to do some more horrible things to my wonderful vampire players. And I've been playing Sir Florence of Idmiston, Baron of Axe. See you next week.
Awesome. And Liam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liam, and you're watching Disney Channel. I'm Liam. I played Sir Virgil and a little bit of Sir Percy this evening, and some howlings from the dogs. Some howlings from the hounds. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this 100th episode. I gotta say, earnestly and honestly, when Bob originally invited me to this game, I went, oh, that sounds really cool, but I don't know if I have time for that. And I made time, and we've had such a wonderful, was it almost 3 years now that we've been playing this game? Yeah. So much has happened in my life since then. So much has happened in these characters' lives, and one of my favorite parts of it is seeing that change in those characters. I want to go back and watch the first episode with Perin and see how different he is to that last scene, you know? Thank you everybody who has been with us, who has been supporting us, who has been watching the streams and the YouTubes and hanging out in the Discord and supporting our other projects. All of these things are amazing, and you guys are legit. I mean, we'd be playing this game anyway, but we might have fallen off a little bit beforehand if we didn't have so many people who enjoyed it along with us. So thank you so much. Mwah. And have a happy holidays.
Indeed. And I'm Bob. I run this game. We play, as you probably noticed through the game, we have a lot of connected Pendragon going on. We play a game here in Salisbury, a game in Summerland, and a game in Wales, all of which had a little bit of a footprint in tonight's cameos. We also have Open Pendragon, which was alluded to a bit, and I'll be in touch with Liam about some of the writing I'm going to be doing for something that will honor some of the Open Pendragon characters that were serving Lady Everard, while also hopefully them not dying to Jaren at some point in that interaction. Thanks again to all our cameos. It was really last minute. I got inspired to do it like way too late, unfortunately. Like if I'd thought about this a week ago, I would have put out the call and probably had way better showing. But it was great to have Megan, Zach, and Bert on. I'm not missing anyone, right? That's who we had. Yeah.
That's who was here.
Yeah. I just want to do a shout out to AP Gaming Rail, has been a major part of this game as cameos, and Colin for joining us as well. The limited time we had Gareth on, he was a true treat. And of course, we won't forget Gary, who may or may not play the Praetor that we mentioned, as well as Ulmier, the son of Ulfius. So thanks again.
I'm going to kill one of those two men.
Yeah.
Last shout out, I've been reading this first book called A Man of Our Kind by Scott Tellick, called it's part of the Swithin series. So this takes like Le Morte d'Arthur and the old romances and Geoffrey of Mormont, and it attempts to translate it to modern, filled out story. This first book is taking a look at the almost like eerie supernatural birth of Merlin through almost a horror-like view of his what happens to his family, while watching Vortigern manage to slime his way into power, and you get to see young Ulfius and Uther running around in there, so that's kind of fun. Highly recommend it, though only like 50 pages through it, but I couldn't put it down when I was reading it. It's nice to read something that wasn't written in the 15th century while you're trying to read through Arthurian lore. So, and it totes on being one of the truest or most faithful to the medieval sources. So I'm gonna hold it at its word, but if it does it, it's doing a damn good job. It's got 5 or 6 books out. Anyways, if you're interested, I'll link that in the details after. Thanks so much for watching. We're gonna do a quick raid out. I want to get in the habit of that. Please join us in our Saxon raid as we find someone to raid real quick. We have new fancy emojis that you can use for free if you want to join in.
Please join us in spamming the raid emote.
Yep, 100%. All right, we're going to go with this. Let me just get their name. Maxwell Flyweight. That is a weird name. We'll probably carry on with the tradition of raiding out to someone that's about to close for the night.
As usual.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of the time slot we put ourselves in.
Indeed. Painted ourselves into a corner.
All right, here we go. We are raiding out in... Oh, hold on. It takes a second, I guess. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye.